pleasant good afternoon to you all, and thank you for joining us once again here on the West Indies Cricket Development Academy YouTube channel as we discuss the dramatic win by the West Indies um, uh, over Uganda last night. It was a big victory, a big statement was sent to New Zealand that the West Indies hosting this World Cup and they are now ready for what you all have to bring. Um, I have alongside me the executive chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Michael Chambers. I also have with me the honorary secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame there in Connecticut, United States, Mr. Dale Brown, also a fellow journalist, and I will now ask them just to say hello to you all as we are getting ready to start this live discussion about the glorious victory by the West Indies last night against Uganda. Mr. Chambers and then Mr. Brown will um, give us an opening statement, then we'll get right into it.
Good evening, Mr. Cotlin. Good evening, Mr. Brown. Fans all over the world. I am Mike Chambers from the Cricket Hall of Fame. I am the executive director, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening to talk about Cricket West Indies win over Uganda last night.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Worldwide, I'm Dale Brown, as Mr. Codlin introduced. I'm the secretary for the Cricket Hall of Fame, first in the world, Hall of Fame based in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm happy to be here joining Mr. Chambers and Mr. Codlin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. The victory by the West Indies last night and in the way that they win. How pleased are you, Mr. Brown? When we were last on, I asked about the decisiveness of the victory, and you pointed out very clear that the West Indies must win, but they should win in a way that the other teams can know that they are ready for this World Cup. Were you pleased last night to see that they would have performed and have done so in a way that is very pleasing? And Afghanistan bowled them out for 70 odd runs, but we bowled them out for 39. So are we sending a statement to Afghanistan as well that we are here and ready for this World Cup?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Codlin. I think that West Indies, the bowling was much more decisive and
Kyle,
improved than in the first game, where the captain was giving persons one over, taking them off. Nobody got a chance to be in a rhythm. And this time, the hot bowler, which was Hussein, he stayed with him, let him bowl out his full quota of overs on the trot, and he rewarded him with 5 wickets for 11 runs. The other bowlers, they stuck to the task and they did what I expect them to do against a team like Uganda. Because if Uganda could only make 58 against Afghanistan, there was no reason for them to make anything past 75 against the West Indies. If the bowlers went out there and bowled with the intention of getting wickets rather than, banging in the ball short and outside the off stump and people hitting the ball all over the place. So improved bowling performance, and obviously you bowl out someone for 39, you didn't do much wrong. So that puts the focus on the batting for me. And even though nobody really stood out of such, we had meaningful partnerships down the order. 41 runs for the first wicket, 35 for the second wicket, 29 for the third wicket. But the most impressive thing was Andre Russell once again showing his value, batting so low in the order and being able to do what is necessary to put the West Indies up to a comfortable total. And he marshaled, especially the fifth wicket where they added 33 runs off just 15 deliveries, and he was primarily responsible for that. And he hit 30 not out off 17 deliveries. He was the top batsman for me in this regard.
Mike, we talked about Akeal Hussain when we featured his story on one of our productions the other day. And when we were asking for players that should sit out, you mentioned that Akeal Hussain must play. How pleased are you that you gave him your vote and he repay you in such a manner where he took 5 wickets for 11 runs, and he took that for the very first time in his career and on the biggest stage of them all?
Yes, sir. I was very pleased with the performance. It was obvious that West Indies had to bowl out Uganda for less than 75 runs. That's the only way they would prove that they are among the champions. And they did it in fine style. They bowled them out for 39 runs. I was very pleased with the youngster, Hussain, because watching him and listening to his stats and just the things he say about he knows that the batsman going to come at him, but it's up to him to now go back in the nets and come up with new and improved ways of bowling, told me that this fellow is working hard at his trade. And he knows people, so he's going to have to study them. That is where mind power comes in now. And if you notice, the only thing I was upset while the game was going because now everybody's now listening to you, giving up, subscribing to that. But I was very pleased with the performance. And I stick by my gun. I think this is just me coming from my mind power training. He was giving off negative vibes from the first ball that was bowled to him. I took pictures. I was standing up in front of the computer, taking pictures of his face. The fellow was scared to death. That translated all the way down the team, all the way through the rest of the players. That negative vibe. And he made 44, and if I should say it was 44 lucky runs, but he was the one who, because of his negative vibes, that caused Brandon King to get out. So this is just me saying I am glad that Hussain took all those wickets and he was so confident.
Akeal Hussain in top 5 best bowling figures in an innings for West Indies in T20 International. Obey McCoy, 6 wicket for 17 runs. Akeal Hussain, 5 for 11. That was on the biggest stage of them all there in the World Cup. Keemo Paul, 5 for 15. Darren Sammy, the now coach and former captain, 5 for 26. And Jason Holder, the former captain, 5 for 27. Akeal Hussain coming from a volatile area in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. How pleased are you, Mr. Brown, that he has rose to may potentially win the West Indies' 3rd World Cup, which with his marvelous bowling performance?
Resiliency. Yes, coming where he's coming from, geographic is what makes him a very, what we say, a tough customer. It's not going to get easily well for any type of situations. It should have. And it shows, you look at him, and as Mr. Chambers mentioned, the manner in which he spoke about preparation, and he realized that preparation is not only coming from him, but it is also coming from the opponents. So he knows they are going to be expecting certain things from him. You know, like when he delivers the arm ball, and Mr. Chambers, I could not agree with you more, because I saw him or heard him speaking about when he goes wide of the crease, what ball going to bowl. And when he's at the great Mr. Bishop, and you figure out everything you want to figure about him, you know? Yeah, so this young man, coming from where he's coming from, Mr. Codlin, he is a primary example of a young man showing resiliency, bounce back, perseverance, and of course, he didn't do it without any help. And he's grateful to the Brian Laras, and you hear him speak about Kieran Pollard and the role that they played in helping him, not to where he is now, but when nobody paid him any attention to him in the local, you know, the local competitions. So I'm very pleased, and I think when you use a person like him, you can speak about mind power and mindfulness when you speak about, when you're talking about those subjects.
Yes, he was very mindful, and we over time we have seen the closeness between him and the former captain, my good friend Nicholas Puran. You know, he was solely responsible last night for setting the pace in the bowling department for the West Indies. And as the viewers that are coming on can see, that you know, one of the thing that caused success to Akil Hussain is coming from nothing and realizing that he can use this game to become something worthwhile in life. And this is worth telling people, that this man comes from the gutters but did not allow for the gutters to destroy his mindset. How important is for young cricketers that are watching us now to under, could you articulate something around Akil Hussain that they can hold on and say to themselves that he achieved something from this wonderful game and I can achieve it. But even though if no opportunity come in the way that it came for Akil Hussain, they can create such opportunity for themselves. Is there a way in the world for these youngsters like Akil Hussain to rise to the occasion and to show their worth on the biggest stage of them all? Because he went on a lot of tours, and we have seen, and I myself, during the series here in Jamaica and leading up towards our first World Cup game, asked for him not to be included. But what a response that he responded with. An out of form bowler that was persisted with, and he repay faith in Powell. What could be the mindset of Powell right now, knowing that despite of Hussain not being in the best frame of mind coming into this World Cup, he sort of, you know, found his way last night at the National Stadium there in Georgetown.
That's questions for me.
Go ahead.
All right. We have to be careful as analysts and as journalists when we are on the air talking about players. And let me tell you why. I heard the captain of the Indian squad today talking about Bumrah. And one of the journalists referred to Bumrah as a genius. And they turned to the captain and says, so do you consider him a genius? What kind of mindset? And the captain says, let's leave the word genius out of the description of Bumrah. Right now, let Bumrah stay where he is, concentrate, and let's not put anything in his head. Why I'm saying that? We have to be careful how we keep saying this young kid came from nothing, from the gutters, and rose to glory. He is not at the glory level yet. He's still coming. So if every time he is sitting down in the stands and listening to the commentators, or he hear people talking about him those ways, it's going to dishearten him. What I am saying. When he is ready to tell his story and to talk about where he came from and what he has achieved. Because even Powell couldn't describe what Hussein did for the team yet last night. When he was talking, everybody was emotionally overwhelmed because the team did so good. So it was obvious that they probably sat down for a good session talking about plans, what they were going to do. And I am going to take credit. I believe you and Brother Dale said on the last show that the bowling, and listen, maybe those guys, when they were talking, and like Brother Dale was explaining, yes, Brother Bishop was saying when the time has come, when we do our analysis, we have to just stick to the facts, you know, that the fellows came out and they played. They came out for vengeance. And how you know that vengeance? Remember, Brother Dennis said he would love to see them go to bat and would knock them out for a little bit of runs and go in and knock it off. They used, Brother Powell, Captain Powell, used a different approach. He went in, made a lot of runs, bowled them out for a little bit of runs. So West Indies could be in a winning position to take the tournament because we just saw India beat Pakistan, and unless something extraordinary happened, Pakistan is probably out of the tournament now. England is edging towards being out. So West Indies must now get ready, and we have been saying it. Afghanistan, who has always upset them every so often, Indies must be, if they, any question about the you're still in the
yeah, we must apologize to the fans as this evening we're having a pretty poor internet connection, and we promise to resolve and come to you back with a better production next time. But before, you know, Andre Russell, 30 from 17 deliveries, was there, had to take his time, had to show all his discipline and experience. Your view, Mr. Brown, on the tidiness of Russell and the aggression towards the end that may have bring West Indies to a rather respectable total on a weary pitch there at the National Stadium in Georgetown.
Yes, sir. This is the second inning that I've seen Russell show all the experience and the maturity that he has gained over the years. And if you notice, he didn't do anything with these big hits over mid-wicket or big heaves over long on or anything like that. Russell applied a lot of skill and manipulation of the bat with the ball to score those runs. And he was very much in control of that situation, and was a very impressive display by him. Brother Mike, if you don't mind, you mentioned about Bumrah and the use of the word genius. I just want to interject, Mr. Codlin, right now. In one of the interviews, when they asked Mr. Bumrah about his performance, he simply said, "You have to live in the now. Live in the now, in the present moment." And that stuck out to me big time. To hear him use that term and use those words. Live in the now. The only thing that matters is right this moment. And he said that. And I was very impressed with the fact that he said it. And I believe, to a certain extent, I don't know much about Mr. Russell, but he demonstrated a man who is in control of his emotions. He remained calm. He was excited. Nothing wrong with that. But his mind seemed to have been very calm because he never tried to go crazy, heaving the ball out of the park. He just manipulated the deliveries as they came and scored enough to make the West Indies comfortable, set a more than comfortable total, and then be aggressive in their approach to the bowling.
Yes, the team that played last night: Rodman Powell, the captain; Johnson Charles, Brandon King, Nicholas Pooran, Sheffin Rutherford, Andre Russell, Romario Shepherd, Akil Hussain, Azari Joseph, Gudish Kish, Mooti, Ruston Chase. Going to the team landed in Trinidad in the afternoon today. Expected to play against New Zealand on Wednesday, which we will be on here commentating on that game. What changes, Mike Chambers, would you make to the starting 11 at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy there in Tarouba, south of Trinidad?
The only change I would make, sir, and I've said it again, I would want Shea Hope coming in for Mr. Charles, because he is the nervous link right now in the team. And when he goes to bat, everybody's on edge. If I get Shea Hope and Shea Hope comes in and make a duck, I would be okay, because the rest of the team would be comfortable. But Jason Charles is very inconsistent, and he shows his nervousness on his sleeves, and the rest of the teammates can pick up that vibe. That's the only change I would make going into the next game.
Mr. Brown, any changes for the starting 11? Would you bring in Sherman Etmire for Rutherford, seeing that we have given Rutherford 3 opportunities now? And would we just try Etmire just to get a different feel? Would you go down a line like that?
No, I wouldn't, because Rutherford failed in the first match, but yesterday I wouldn't consider anything that he did a failure. Yeah, I think he did reasonably well, batted as well as anybody else, so no, I wouldn't. To answer your question, no.
Right. Would you take out Charles? I mean, 40 odd runs, it would be hard for, and bearing that he's so close with the head coach. But if you were the selector, would you change the chemistry of the team at this time, in removing Charles for in swapping for Shea Hope, who has not proven himself as an opener in the shortest form of the game?
I think that Charles is going to retain his place. He once you come out of the power play, you can see him being especially nervous after that because he's not able to manipulate the deliveries, and keep the scoreboard ticking when the fielders are outside of the power play. Afghanistan has a strong bowling attack, and he will be severely tested. And honestly, I don't know if he can.
They played New Zealand
when we play, I'm sorry, New Zealand. When we play New Zealand, he'll be severely tested against New Zealand in the next game. And it is that if he fails there, then they are going to have to replace him, definitely, I believe, for the other match. But I think they're going to play him in this game, upcoming game on Wednesday.
Right. And you would not bring in Hetmyer on Wednesday?
No, I would not bring in Hetmyer on Wednesday, sir. No.
So the changes, we would, from your angle, you would play the same team on Wednesday, even with a very cold at this point, Vice Captain Nazari Joseph.
Yes, no question. Nazari Joseph is going to play, and it's just with him, those short pitch deliveries, he has to be very careful who he bowls them, bowls at with those kind of deliveries. And I think he's a better bowler than that. He could take more wickets. He really could take more wickets, but he loves bowling short, and apparently he's bowling to instructions.
Indeed. Mike, what should be the mindset of the West Indies going into the game with New Zealand, seeing that this opposition is down and out, and what should be the mindset of West Indies now going into that game? We call for the Uganda game a decisive victory, which we get early in at this time, because we'll do a show previewing that game. But just for the record, what would you like to see the West Indies? How would you like to see them play against New Zealand in this important game? And bearing that New Zealand may have had the mental edge over us in World Cup games, where we lost against them in 2019 very closely there in England in that World Cup, and in other World Cups we have tended not to win against them. But now that they are down and out, how do you expect a resurgent and a strong West Indian team to what are you expecting from them against a New Zealand team that is well and truly like Pakistan on their way out of this World Cup?
It is all in the mind, and you're asking for mindset. I don't want them to have a mindset. What I want them to do is look at the tapes. It is so important that a few hours before you play an opponent, you get a feel for what the batters are capable of doing, what the bowlers are capable of doing. And then, like you said, now you have to reflect on the fact that they have actually beaten you in years gone by. So you are now going to have to sit down and do some mind power techniques, going through, looking at the tapes and see how your style of cricket, how the wicket has been playing, that somebody has to be able to say, the wicket is fast, the wicket is slow, the wicket is taking turns. What is the wicket doing? What are the conditions going to be that morning? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? So they have to do a lot of studying, not especially on the field practice now. Too late now for practice. Just warm up and get yourself ready. It has to be, to beat New Zealand now, they have to come out mentally prepared. They are going to have to set a target. If we bat first, this is what we're going to want to do. If they bat first, then this is what we're going to do. They have to have a plan. So every batter, every bowler knows what he or she is expected to do. If they have that in their head, so they don't get nervous. If I send you a picture with Brother Powell on the field playing with his eyes actually closed, I took a picture with Brother Darren Sammy, upset. You could see his face scared. You know, you can look at a person's face and it can tell you a lot of things. That's how I play cricket. The body language.
Yeah.
See, it's very important. So these guys now have a lot of sleep the night before, early to bed, early to rise. You know, no drinking, no gallivanting. If they come to the game well prepared, I'm not even going to worry about the batting and the bowling. I'm going to worry about their head space. Where is their head space? I am calm and relaxed. If they are calm and relaxed, when they play New Zealand, it's going to be a walkover.
Indeed, indeed, a walkover. That's what we're looking for. That's it from us here this evening. We'll be back with you Tuesday morning to preview the West Indies and New Zealand important game in Tarouba at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy there in the south of Trinidad and Tobago. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Remember to like this video. And Executive Chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Michael Chambers, thank you for joining us this evening. Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, based in New Jersey, and also a consultant with our academy. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Dale Brown, and we hope to have you all back on Tuesday morning. From all of us here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy, thank you for joining us, and goodbye for now.